Hello, and welcome to another episode of No Place Like Home, a podcast and diary of my life. My name is Curtis Bryant. I just turned 36 last week, last Saturday to be exact, and this is a way for me to document my mid 30s and tell my story and pray, and I pray that it helps someone else, right? And so today we're actually going to in we're going to get into scripture. Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to use scripture to tell today's story, to tell today's diary entry. I was reading my Bible the other morning, and the Lord brought me to the story of Saul. And in this chapter, which I'm trying to find right now, you can probably hear the page turning. Um, in this chapter of First Samuel, Saul has been called to elevation. He's been called on a mission, and the Lord has used Samuel to sort of mentor and lead Saul into this new season, right? And so they finally meet, and what they decide to do is hold a feast for Saul. And there was something that Samuel said to Saul during the dinner that really hit home for me and really inspired me. So I'm going to read it to you. Again, it's in First Samuel chapter 9, verse 24. And this is at the dinner again, or the feast, whatever time it was. It says, "At that, the cook lifted up the leg and what was on it and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, 'What has been reserved has been set before you.'" Again, what has been reserved has been set before you. And my Lord, today, not tomorrow. That just felt like a very affirming, confirming word. I know personally I am in a season of a pivot. And something that I wrote on Instagram the other day is that oftentimes I really ask God, I question God, in why does my life include so many pivots, right? I want to sit down. I want to chill for a little bit, right? And I giggle knowing that that doesn't even sound like the promise or the fruitfulness that the Lord has for me in totality, right? And so I'm in a season of a pivot. And with any pivot comes fear. With any pivot comes doubt or questions, right? And this word, that scripture just reminded me that even the pivot is reserved for me, right? Even this change that the Lord is calling me to was reserved for me, right? We talk about it all the time. We're like, God knows the beginning from the end. His ways are not our ways. He orders our steps. And we say these things and we forget, like, those things are true. Like, he actually already knew that I would make this podcast episode when I was born. Like, before I even had words, before I even had experiences, the Lord knew that one day I would place this little mic to a marker. I would sit in this apartment that I never thought I would have, coming from the place that I come from. He knew that on this day, I would make this episode, that I would talk about my experience, that I would be honest, and that I would have something to say, right? That I would have something to say. Even in the midst of not knowing what is next for me, the Lord is still giving me words. And I just want you to know that even in your season of change, the Lord will continue to give you words. He will continue to give you thought. He will continue to give you ordered steps. This is your reminder that you are not doing it alone, that God is has already decided to do this mission, this trip, this pivot with you. That he has no intentions of ever leaving you behind or leaving you alone, even when you feel alone in the season, in the situation, right? And so, my prayer is that you will hold on. My prayer is that you will continue to trust God, but also trust yourself. One thing that I say to my best friend Mondo often is that he makes great decisions. And I don't know, this is something that I just started saying to him randomly. I was like, you make great decisions. He's younger than me. And so I definitely feel the bigger brother mentor kind of vibe, right? I knew that really early on in our friendship. And I just wanted to know, I wanted him to know, especially as someone who's older and who has made a lot of mistakes, that despite the mistakes that we've made, we still make great decisions. And that we are living in a body, in a vessel that is dual, that lives in this duality, right? And so also know that your pivot will include great decisions and bad decisions. That your pivot will include mishaps. But one thing I can promise you from my own experience is that you will never fall too deeply that you can never get back up again. Okay? And so, yeah. So if you are in a season of a pivot, trust God, trust yourself, and know that it is a reservation, right? That a reservation has been made for this time of your life, which means that you can handle it, right? When there is a reservation made, when you make a reservation to your favorite restaurant, you go knowing what you're going to order. You go there, you took the intentional step to make a reservation because you want to make sure that you had a seat at that place, right? And so what God is saying is, I've made that reservation. I know what you need. I know what you need to eat in this season, and I'm going to make sure that you get it. So be blessed, be loved, and go forward. We are in the month of March. So something that I wrote on Instagram the other day was forward March. So march forward in the month of March, and may this month be everything you desire and more, because you make great decisions. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in my next episode. Later.